you guys. It's me, Dr. Torie. My book is officially out. And yes, it is time to talk about ACEs. You guys can find the books everywhere. However, I would encourage you guys to go to my website, VicTORIEus.com, and place your order today. Yes, it's time to talk about ACEs. Let's go, y'all.
Hello, hello, you guys. Welcome to another episode of Be Victorious. You all know who I am. I am Dr. Victorious, the one that creates victory in others through understanding their adverse childhood experiences through ACEs education. And let me tell you, anytime there is an author, a fellow educator, people that know about adverse childhood experiences, I would love for them to come and have a seat at the table. And I am excited about this new guest that we have. Her name is Juliana. And when I tell you she's a former school principal, she checks the marks. She is a speech pathologist, special education. I love it. An
Mhm.
early brain development trainer. But not only is she a parent educator and a child advocate, she has a book. And you know, I love my favorite authors. Her book, Life with Less of Me, is new, it is fresh, and we get to have her here. She also wants to help people understand the effects of adverse childhood experiences and unresolved trauma on one's long-term physical and mental health. Juliana is a mother, check mark, a grandmother,
Mhm.
check mark, a potter, and occasional jewelry artist. She lives in Wisconsin, hey Midwest, with her husband John and her beautiful dogs, Bella and Ruby. Come on in, Juliana, so we can have this conversation. You are amazing.
Well, I am working at it, but you really got it knocked out there. You you are just so much fun. I've watched a few of your podcasts and the energy and the joy is amazing.
Thank you so much. I think I will share its consistency. Adverse childhood experiences is not really a discussion people want to have, but the fact that I'm doing it, it's attracting the right people just based off of our experiences. And that's what we want. We want people to know that we can heal. We know what it is. We're not letting our score define us. And here is another cycle breaker. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
So let's begin.
All
You
right.
could tell me, we're going to go ahead and start off since you already know how I get down. Tell me your ACEs score.
Oh, s- it is 6 or 7, depending on, how people count it.
Uh,
So, yes,
yeah.
I have a very high ACEs score.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and it's
Nothing
had
wrong
its
with that.
effect on me.
And guess what? We do not let our ACEs score define us here. So
Mhm,
I tell everybody I used to have a
mhm,
3. But with learning about ACEs education a lot more, it actually has increased with the additives that they've added since 2023.
mhm,
Like, and again, bullying. If we want
mhm,
to count bullying as an ACE as it is, because it's
mhm,
recognized by the CDC,
mhm.
everybody has ACEs. Cut it out, boom, done, period.
Exactly. Everybody does.
And so it's a tool, it's an additive. It's for people to know that we're not going to let the ACEs score define us. And you didn't do that. But I'm excited about this book. Before we begin, you have all of this wealth of knowledge and experience. When did you first hear about adverse childhood experiences?
I heard about that in training that our school district sponsored. And as I was doing the ACEs test with them, and yes, it was shorter,
Yeah, yeah.
um, I I was like embarrassed to
Yeah.
let people see or that I'm checking 1, 2, 3, 4, just going down the line.
Yeah.
And I spent my life trying to be different. I mean, when I became a parent, I tried to be different. And the first time I made a mistake, it's like the whole world turned over because a lot of us with ACEs feel like if we don't do it perfect, we're terrible.
Right.
There has to be room for mistakes.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And I agree. I agree.
Hmm.
However, we can't let that score define us.
Exactly. We
So
can.
of the categories, because again, you were in a training and you have been in education forever. The ACEs categories, what did you think about that? Because you've been in education for a long time, and we know
Right.
ACEs has, been recent. Well, not
Hmm.
as recent as one would think, but we would think, early 90s, 2000s. It's used for training, but not in depth. Um, what do you think about that? Why do you think that that wasn't really brought up or talked about more into education?
That is a very good point because when we were trained on the ACEs score, there was no so what then?
Hmm.
Certainly we know the kids come in to school with these adverse childhood experiences, but there was no trauma-informed care.
Right.
There was no special ways of working with these children. And that is where we needed to go. And it is still needing to be
It,
worked on.
it is. It is. It's I think a huge transition from what we're doing now in regards to public education. Now, I left public education because I didn't see enough of the social emotional learning. And I think our commonality, just so you know, I actually am still licensed. I will never give up my license in
Mhm.
special education because of that stereotype of being placed in special education. I've done everything from severe, profound, all the way up to gifted and talented. And I think it's the acronyms for me. So when I didn't
Mhm.
see ACEs as an acronym, that's what made me interested in it. So it's the fact that it's really needed, especially the social emotional learning, like you talked about. Uh,
Mhm.
did it shift your perspective with leaving or going? Because I know that you're, of course, retired. Did that
Mhm.
shift your perspective before you left?
Yes. I started out in an elementary K-5 school and later switched to the early childhood and pre-kindergarten programs. There's something about early childhood teachers that is amazing.
Mhm.
They understand that kids aren't done yet. Their behavior is often because they haven't learned a particular skill or that they haven't had breakfast or they haven't, there's reasons for the behavior and it's easier for teachers of these younger kids to realize
Right.
that these kids aren't done or they come to school dysregulated and they bite the principal when they get off the bus. It's all in part of the day.
Yep. Welcome to education. And that's
Uh-huh.
the reason why we have to have this conversation because
Right.
here it's not getting any better. But you wrote a book.
I wrote a book because one, and you know this, that if you have three or more adverse childhood experiences, your likelihood of having long-term health issues like um, infection
Mhm.
and arthritis and autoimmune difficulties, cancer, heart disease, all of those things goes up significantly.
Yeah.
And if you read my book, you will see, number one, that my home was extremely dysfunctional.
Right.
Um, but you will also see that because of neglect, I had injuries that were treated. I have a high propensity to get infections, a lot of infections. I've had sepsis from a bladder infection. I've had a flesh-eating infection that stuck me in the hospital for 2 months.
Mhm.
Um, I've had cancer. I've suffered from depression and anxiety, all of those different things. I am so excited that I stopped the cycle with my family.
That's right. You sure did. You're a cycle breaker. Yes, you are. Yes,
Yeah,
you are. I was ready for you to say it because that's exactly who you are. And you just shared pretty much everything that I was going to talk about. However, I'm glad that you shared it because now the listeners can hear all of the experiences that make you the cycle breaker.
right. I knew I spent my whole childhood wanting to get away and be different. And I was fortunate to be able to go on a vacation with a friend and realize that there wasn't the constant yelling, there wasn't the violence, the tears, the alcohol, all of that. There wasn't that. They were a quiet family. And although we weren't quiet, the kids, we weren't quiet. But it just really opened my eyes. And I was like, this is way different from my family.
Right,
And I started thinking that maybe what I lived with every day wasn't normal.
right.
And getting away, I spent a lot of time escaping at school,
Hmm.
finding caring teachers who would stay after school and do things with the kids. And back then there were these things called late buses that you could actually stay at school later, be involved in activities, and
Right.
get a ride home. Um, it made such a difference for me to be able to get away. And it set the stage for me to want to be different and to realize that wasn't normal.
And that's what cycle breaking look like. That's why I love you already because you know exactly what it is. Just knowing that the things that you were experiencing wasn't normal.
Mhm.
And I'm not going to say it correctly. It's necrotizing.
You said it perfectly. Necrotizing fasciitis, which is a flesh-eating infection.
And to live with that at such a young age. How was
Well,
that?
I got that actually when I was an adult. But if you read my book, you'll see some other infections that I had that may not have been treated properly. And I almost lost my arm to an infection when I was little. Um, it just, I think, weakened my system when it comes to fighting infections. So, I've had a lot of different things. And you'll also, I mean,
I love the book. I had to sneak a copy. I did
did you?
because
Well,
your
I hope you
story,
did.
yeah, your story is really like honestly an amazing story. You're a gift. You're a gift from God. And with everything that you've experienced and everything that you've been through, I'm honored, seriously, that you're here to tell this story because you're a survivor. Like breast cancer was one thing, but
Hmm.
the physical and mental health issues early like that. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you guys, okay, so let me just pause because again, I'm honored. Anytime somebody can go through, first understand ACEs and go through the experiences, we all have already learned, you guys, this is an educational podcast, that those stressors hurt and weaken our immune system. So that is what Juliana is saying in her
Mm-hmm.
book, which you all have to get. It is streaming everywhere. It's on Amazon. It is everywhere. She is sharing these details. And when I tell you it's going to touch you, it's going to touch you because of the experiences that she went through. So let me pause because you're supposed to be doing the talking. I'm just honored because it's so relatable. There's so many people out here like you that want to share but can't.
Mm-hmm. Right. It, I guess in my story, I wanted to tell it because I spent my whole life hiding
Mm,
who I was. And the few times that I did seek help, I got responses from the therapist or the counselor that you can't have anxiety issues. You're successful, you look like a successful person. There's no way you could be struggling. And even though I had claustrophobia, um, and the therapist helped me with the claustrophobia, but that couldn't have ties to my childhood or the
mm.
fact that I fell 40 floors in an elevator and got stuck there for an hour. I mean,
She's a superhero, you guys. I told you she's a cycle breaker. And yet you still live to see another day.
I still live to see another day.
That's why life with less of me works because you're really authentically getting a chance to tell your story.
Hmm.
And I can guarantee you, people are going to get it and they're going to read it because you're not alone in your journey.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And
I,
listen, I'm glad we met because again, the abusive father.
hmm.
I
Yes.
got it. I'm telling you, I got the book. Trust me. It's a story.
Yes, I wanted it to be written as a story because I wanted people to read it who need to read it.
Mhm.
Um, I would have mu had a much easier time writing a scientific book
Right.
talking about brain development but I actually hired a book coach to help me to
Mhm.
write the book, to be creative and help me because I didn't have that kind of background. And so many times, well, one of the things that I learned when I was growing up was that I had to solve my own problems because I couldn't go to my parents and say, "Can you help me with this?" Because over and over and over, they failed me. And um, trying to go it alone without help is hard. And some of the struggles I had um, as even as a principal wa were there because I wouldn't call a colleague for help because I thought that would make me look weak.
Wow.
I wouldn't get help or I couldn't tell people that I'm going through cancer and taking care of my abusive dad, and he's keeping me awake, and I can't sleep. And I tore the heart monitor off.
Right.
Um, so one of the things in writing this book is I decided I need help. I can't do this by myself. The first thing I did was get a referral to a certified trauma therapist.
Very good.
And I spent the last 6 years in trauma therapy
Mm-hmm.
because remembering everything that happened put me back into the trauma state. And you know this, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
excited that you're willing to have me on your podcast.
I'm just because I just want you to know how important you are. Like you are taking those steps. You gotta, so let me, you know me. I feel like we know each other. I thought I was alone on this journey. That's the reason why we have this podcast.
Mhm.
And so I can relate. Like it's relatable, where when I first started on the podcast, some of the things that I didn't even label as abuse are actually really abuse.
Mhm.
And because it's normalized so much, it's kind of hard,
Mhm.
So when I saw your story, it really resonated because, and then you would have these experiences and you would still not let it take you down. So then I
Mhm.
said, she's a cycle breaker, and I bet you she knows it.
It was my goal
Mhm.
when I grew up, and I'd have these flashbacks of things that happened. I tell a story of going out with my new roommate in college, and her niece spills milk, and I'm waiting for everyone to explode and the baby to scream and all this stuff. And they're like, oh, it's okay. We'll clean this up. I was like, what? What?
Right, right, right.
And I'm sitting there frozen in my seat, and they're giving the little child more peas because she
Right,
likes peas.
right, right.
Right.
And see, this is what people have to understand. What's something that you wish people understood more about childhood trauma or ACEs that isn't talked about enough?
That it actually changes the child's brain. I think it's really important for people to know because the brain develops in a way that whatever it's used for, it becomes good at, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And if the brain is used to play and to love and hug and be part of a family and sing and do all those great things, um, the child becomes good at that.
Hmm.
But if the child has to protect themselves,
Mm.
the brain develops pathways that go to fight, flight, freeze, fawn, all of those things that animals do to protect themselves.
Yep.
And it disconnects their brain from their prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for making decisions and thinking things, because the brain says it's more important that you stay safe than for you to think about what's happening.
Right. And
And
I
like
agree.
like a highway,
Mm-hmm.
um, there are highways built in the brain, and the ones that are used the most get paved with
Yep.
with and myelin, right? They get
Uh-huh.
paved and they're set in stone. And that's why it's important to make sure that we care about kids and what
Yep.
happens to them.
I agree. And it's we don't want we don't want to become the adults with adverse childhood experiences. That's why we're here.
Right.
That's why we're here as educators because we've been in the classroom, you guys. We've watched it and witnessed it. And we're here as authors saying, listen, we have a score. We
Hmm.
know what it looks like. We don't want anybody to go through this anymore.
Right.
So we
And
wrote a book about it.
we did. We don't. And you did
I'm,
as
I'm
well.
saying
You did.
and that's what people have to understand. It's enough of us in this space to keep sharing our stories to say, hey, I'm a witness. I went through this. I don't want you to go through it. And that's why you're the cycle breaker you are. You saw it with not just your family, but you saw it in education, just like me. And look, that's another person with you. We're
Mhm.
together. Too bad you're stuck with me now, Juliana, because we have to go back out here and say, hey, we've witnessed it. We have it. We're not letting it define us. We're healing. You just said 6 years of trauma therapy. You are a cycle breaker. And people have to understand, yeah, therapy, people may be scared, but there are still free resources. There are activities, there are tools, there are extracurricular activities. There are things for people to have those experiences. The problem is we don't want you all to go through what we went through.
Mhm.
Nobody has went through what Juliana has went through. I cannot imagine you having to grow up with those experiences.
And the thing is, we think it's normal.
Right.
We think it's normal that mom gets hit every
Yeah.
once in a while because dad just blows his top.
Mhm.
Um, we just think it's normal that mom attempts suicide in front of us, or,
Yep. What if you're with, the flesh eating issues? What if you just your parents said, "Well, forget about it. We're not going to do anything." And then what happens? You know what I mean? Do you know
uh-huh.
people out there like that, you guys, where we don't have that support at all? That's why we have to continue to have the conversation. That's why. So if it was someone that was just starting, they're listening to us right now, they're like, "Dang, what do I need to do next?" What would you tell them?
I tell them that your body is remembering your trauma, and some of us use success to hide it. And for me, it ate at me for years, and the result was a lot of different health issues. And I'd encourage people not to wait until they're 60 years old to go into trauma therapy.
Mhm. Yeah,
That would be a really great thing. And also, if things happen to children, because there are things that are traumatic that we have no control about, like maybe a family member dies, or someone's incarcerated, or a family member is involved with drugs or alcohol, like mine, you know. Um, but if you see that happening and can help the child get out of that situation, it's really helpful.
it is. It
Yeah.
is. And I think the wonderful and fun thing about this is, not just as a, a person that's had the experiences, but as an educator
Mhm.
and officially an author.
Sure.
I got a different question. Is this going to be your first and your last book? Or are you going to dive in some more? Because it's really good.
I'm thinking about doing some children's books
Okay.
instead. Yes. This book took 6 years to write.
Really?
Yeah. So, um, because I had to stop and heal and then start again, and so, um,
I get it.
yeah, I have some really good ideas about children's books, and some of them might deal with some of these issues.
I think so. I think so because the one that you have, I again, you guys make sure you purchase the book. I wish I had it. My copy, I went
Yeah.
on ahead and did the Amazon. I have the
Oh,
Kindle. I have no other choice. And so I said, let me go ahead and grab this copy while I got the opportunity, did what I had to do. And when I tell you, you guys, it's definitely worth the read. I actually plan on going and putting your review up because I like the fact that again you address some things that we talk about understanding adverse childhood experiences. And I
mhm.
think that's the big deal for me because you define it big time and
Big
talk
time.
about it. And I think that is what we need. We need to find more people that are going to continue to be superheroes like you, cycle breakers that are willing to break the generational cycle. So you and your husband, wonderful kids. How excited are they about your book?
They are very excited about the book. They came
Yay.
to my book launch and they were really happy. Yeah.
And the reason why I asked that is you talked about some things. What about your family? You
Well,
other family.
I, my sister is very happy that I wrote the book, and she gave me permission to tell part of her story in that book. Um, and my brother has not given me permission, um, but that's okay. I think that um, it has affected all of us
Right.
in our own ways. And I just don't want it to continue in families. And I feel that me just writing this book has made a significant difference.
Yeah, it'll change your life. It will
Mhm.
change everything. The fact that your inner child is probably dancing, like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, she did it. It wouldn't matter if it was 6 years. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I do not hide the fact that even going back to school to complete my doctoral degree, it took 6 years. I'd stopped in the middle of it. I developed shingles at
Oh,
37. And so abnormal, like, let's be clear, we're friends.
yeah.
Who gets shingles at 37 years old? And the
Uh-huh.
doctor was like, as much as we can help you, we can't because there's no such thing as someone having shingles at 37. So abnormal? No, but trust me and believe me, I absolutely know. I don't want people to go through these experiences. So having you here as another person added,
Hmm.
not just to a wonderful community, because you'll see once you get in here with us that you're not alone. I know these people will love on you when you meet them. I'm telling you, because this is who we are. And I think we accept who we are in our role as cycle breakers. And that's what also helps us heal. You're already on your healing journey. You telling this story to somebody is going to encourage them to
Hmm.
finish everything, inspire, not just inspire, but to continue to go because to go through what you went through, you won't understand until you read it and experience it. And for us,
Hmm.
even though it's different journeys, it's that commonality of that ACEs awareness, or us being educators and us saying, listen, you guys, we don't want you guys to go through this anymore.
Hmm. Yes. And you can always be a mentor
Mm.
because I had a person and that was my nice grandma.
Okay.
She was my person, and being a person for someone who is not getting supported at home um, is really important. It's really important.
Yeah.
Other things like getting the child out of the home so they can see life can be different.
Yep.
Um, Giving them an opportunity to be outside in nature because there's more and more research out there saying being in natural environments is really important.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love it. So, what are some of the things that you do to help address your mental health
I
and
make
physical health?
pottery.
And I like that for you. I do. Tell me more. It's
Pottery is like a meditation in
yeah.
alone. You sit with a lump of clay and your goal is to center it, to
Mhm.
get it to be in perfectly centered on the wheel. And what better to center yourself
Ooh,
but then to work on centering a piece of clay
you better
and
get us an
making something
educator.
out of it.
That's actually creative. You said, why not center yourself and center? Because I have actually been heavy on music. I love
Hmm.
it. I love it when I mean it. There is no platform that I am like, ugh, it annoys me. No, I love all forms of music. So I totally get it. But if there is one thing to someone that was beginning the journey after reading your book, after listening to this podcast, after they confide in you and share their story, because there's going to be somebody, Juliana, you already know.
Hmm.
What would you tell them?
Find a way to get help. I wish I had done it. I spent so much time going through cancer, and when I was a mess going through cancer. And when the nurse asked me in their little, because I was in a study, in their little things saying, how are you feeling this, and then it came to the mental health, and I said, I dream about smashing plates.
Mm.
And she was like, what?
Right.
And then I'm like thinking better of it and saying, I haven't smashed any plates.
Not yet.
Not yet, but I really wanted to.
Right. I'll send you some. Let's do it together. We can
Take
do
a
it.
risk.
Yes.
Take a risk and say, yeah, I really want to smash plates. I want to
Mhm,
go out on my patio and just slam
mhm.
every plate in the house down.
And that's the same reaction that you get with pottery. You know what I mean? Whereas
Mhm.
somebody might consider going and getting some plates.
Right.
That's what that pottery is for you. That's what
Mhm.
music is for me. But
Mhm.
for those who don't know, you guys, you have to get in and understand that healing. We've talked about grounding. We've talked about being one with nature. We've talked about extracurricular activity, sitting and doing some things. We talked about cycle breaking. We talked about the different types of abuse that Juliana went through as she was younger. But if you all have not caught on, she's definitely a cycle breaker. And to add that icing to the cake, it's the fact that you're an author to me. I think becoming an author actually really changed my life because I had all the credentials. I had all of that. We have all of that education.
Mhm.
But it wasn't until I was able to get that black and white.
Mhm. Right.
Now I
To
will share
hold
with
your book in your hand and
yeah,
sign it for somebody, right?
yes. And to have people say, wait, hold on, I'm waiting for it. I'm looking. Or no, wait, hey, you didn't sign it. It's because it lets me know that it's needed. And I'm
Mhm.
telling you, once you start doing this, and I'm also going to encourage you, you may not want to, but you're needed right now in education. I would encourage you to go back in. I would just for a second and just let them know in regards to professional development and training.
Oh, I'd love to. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm just
Mhm.
telling you that that's how it's been working for me. I
Mhm.
I I love my book. I know you know that. And I love
Mhm.
your book because it talks about what I talk about because
Mhm.
you have to have a discussion about ACEs. If you don't have a discussion about ACEs, you will not understand your story. So
Mhm.
I want the world to know who you are. Tell us where we can find you.
JuliannaBurmesch.com. I have a website and it even has a little contact form on it. So right now, I get a few contacts through there, but a lot of spam. So if you can outnumber the spam, I'd really appreciate it.
I'm going to introduce you to my community. I think they'll love you. You're a
Okay, I
sweetheart.
appreciate that.
I know, I really, it's a bunch of us. It's educators, therapists, it is coaches, it is parents, it's
Mm-hmm.
dads, it's what will I say, people with abuse, people with neglect,
Mm-hmm.
household dysfunction, and other adversities. So I'll
Mm-hmm.
just break it up and just say it's a whole bunch of people with a whole bunch of aces, but we're not letting our score define us. And we're talking
Mm-hmm.
about a young lady that I would love to introduce you to. I think she was episode 99, I want to say. And she wrote a children's book, and she didn't know that her children's book was ACEs related until I let her know. However,
Mm-hmm.
she's used that to have that conversation about who she talked about in regards to her book. And what's interesting is this right here.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
it's a needed tool, especially in
Mm-hmm.
elementary schools. And with us having that experience, I would encourage you to do it. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm here. I'm a part of the team. We together because
Right.
we're gonna take this and we're gonna run with it because again, I know your story is going to touch and impact so many people. So it's my pleasure and honor to have you, especially as someone that with the recent book out here, we need you.
Mm-hmm.
We need you, we need you, we need you. So I'm letting you know, please continue to share your story. Share it as much as possible. You have my 110% support. And just know we'll have this conversation again because, again, I have some stuff going on. I know you know because I cannot stop talking about ACEs. I asked for it and we are doing it. So it's been my pleasure and honor to have you here. And you guys, you all know where to find me. I'm everywhere. I'm taking Juliana with me, and we're going on this journey to continue to educate you guys on ACEs education. You can find me everywhere, LinkedIn, YouTube. I'm streaming everywhere on all podcasts. That audio is coming out very, 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 very soon. And when I tell you guys, you can reach victory by educating others through ACEs education, you can. Become an ACEs ambassador. Any questions? Visit BeVictorious.com and we'll see you guys soon, you guys. Thank you for another episode of Be Victorious. Goodbye, you guys.